plane crash today. What are those plane crash that have crashed across the world? But because it's not something realistically easy to have up today, because some of these things at times you need to try to do some verification as far as I can go. So this series will be based on the last 24 hours to 48 hours of the time I'm doing the video, so that at least I can do some basic verification, like trying to get images of maybe the crash site, reading and through some media report on it and things like that. So, but now I've come on with this for you guys with the latest crash covering between today's 17th November 2025, and that means I will be covering crashes between 15th to 16th November 2025. So we'll be taking it one by one, and the first crash we have for the day will be the Ultralight crash near Valdichiana Airfield in Italy. So I will be taking you through what really went wrong, the types of plane crash involved and things like that. And in case you are new here, welcome to our plane crash update. I'm Solomon Foske, and on this channel I aim to bring you up to date latest that is happening across plane crashes across the world. But as a disclosure or disclaimer, I used to tell you I'm not a pilot, just an aviation fan, maybe like yourself. So I decided to be researching, documenting plane crashes. And so if you like it, make sure you like, subscribe, tap notification bell, and let's ride on each of these one by one. So the first one that we will be looking at is the crash ultralight, like I said. And when did that happen? What are the crash summary and the fact? The date was November 15, 2025, around midday. That's VFR per the report I got. The type of plane involved is ultralight. Specific model is not actually being stated. So registration also not listed, and this is the crash picture I was able to get from this platform. And from the crash, at times I'm able to visually confirm the plane tail number or registration number, but this had a very massive crash, and the way it was captured, I wasn't able to also verify to update this for you. So but based on reports, it had one occupant, that's the pilot, and no fatality. The aircraft craft is there itself, you can see it, that is totally written off completely from what you can see on your screen. So it's totally it's a total write-off. So in terms of the flight, it's a local flight from Valdichiana Airfield, and weather was being reported to be clear. What happened? This is an unofficial account. I love to give more of official account like NTSB and things like that, but not every crash, especially at the early stage, that's being covered, especially when it's not also in within US. So mid-flight control loss during landing and spun into open terrain near field. Pilot walked out uninjured and taken to the hospital. So as you can see it here, it's a serious write-off accident that happened, but glad that according to report, the pilot wasn't, didn't cause lose his life in the crash. So let's move on to the crash 2 update. So which is about N84OU Piper PA 2881 crash at McCaslin Airport in the United States. So let's now see, this is the plane itself. I was able to get this picture for you, and you can see it that is still like in full one piece. So it didn't really have a kind of crash like that. So but what really went on November 15, 2025, it was on a training slot, so going training flight, and the type of plane is Piper PA 28181 pilot 100I. So the registration number, you've seen it here. Now occupants were 2 students, were 2 people. So one of them is student as usual, training flight, and another one instructor, and good that both of them were reported to be safe. So it's 0 fatality, and aircraft damage was also minor because you can see it from the picture. This was like when it landed, so everything still look so cool. So though at times the issue might be in, and that was what actually happened. So the flight was a training circuit from McCaslin Airport, Lexington, Oklahoma, and more updates based on what actually happened. Engine bubbles on approach, made emergency landing, but no spine, and that helped it to quickly recover because there was no actual physical or visible crash, things like that. It was just majorly they said the engine had issue, and then they made a emergency landing. So let's move on to the next crash I've got for you. That will be the 3rd of the 7th I will be covering. So it's about C-GBJJ Piper Seminole at Martintown near Congo Airport, Ontario, Canada. So this actually happened in Canada, and this is the actual plane involved. So at times, if I'm able to lay my hands on the precise plane before the crash and after the crash, because sometimes, especially at this very early stage, you might not really be able to have crash site or things, or if it doesn't really involve much of things like that. So this, I was able to get this as this is the actual plane itself. The date this happened was November 15th at low altitude training overlap. So the type is Piper PA 44180 Seminole airplane, and this the registration. It contained 2 occupants, having one as instructor and then one as student. But both of them are alive. But not everyone involved in this, actually survived it. But those in this plane survived. So the fatality on board and on ground is 0, and aircraft damage is still being assessed. So as of now, no much details about the damage, and it was actually training from Cornell War Aviation. So it was a training flight as well from Cornell Aviation. So what then happened in terms of the weather, it was like low fog and bit clear, just much of early and things like that. So what then happened? Collided with another Congo training flight. So this actually was involved in a air collision. So that means two planes that are airborne and then collided while on air, not taxiing, not on the ground, one hitting another. No, they were both airborne, they were both flying, and they had collision. And the other one it had collision with is also a Cornwall, because this flight is owned by the Cornwall Aviation, which is a local training school, I think within the Cornwall airport. So the training flight that it collided with is the C-GGXP Cessna 172N Seahawk, which I will still discuss next with you, so we'll learn more about that. So about 2,500 feet. So they had collision about 2,500 feet above the surface. So but was still able to land successfully. So this particular C-GBJJ plane Piper plane was still able to land to the nearby Cornwall Martintown Regional Airport, nearby the collision spot. But as you will discover in the next one, the other plane wasn't that so lucky. So things just went even more horribly wrong. So that's why I'm not able to give more update about the condition of the plane, because since it was a collision, there might have been some things wrong, might not be like physically feasible yet like that, but maybe it has crack and things like that. So probably if there's some more update when they have investigation on it, as the TSB, that's the Transport Safety Board of Canada, are already investigating it. So let's now see the second flight this collided with as well. That will be a fourth flight we'll be discussing, and this is the same date. Like I told you, they were both like collisions, so it just happened the same day, and low Earth training overlap. They were both on training flights. And this is the exact flight involved as well. So always try to see if I can get. So this is the exact flight, and you can see the type is Cessna 172N Skyhawk. So most of these small plane as well, they have much this like this for training, then also for personal private charters and things like that. So with the registration number and occupant, it's just one pilot that was in this. Don't forget the other one was having two pilots. So if I go back here, this was the one it collided with, which is the Piper PA 4480 Seminole. So both of them collided, and while that one was having two occupants in it, this was having just one. And you can see this a view of Martintown, like map of the environment this happened. So it's around somewhere in this area, I think, that the collision occurred above 2,000 plus feet off the ground. So that made it even more deadly for this. So based on that, now let's look more on the pilot, which the victim was identified as 28-year-old man from Montreal. OP police told Radio Canada on Sunday, according to CBC Canada report. So fatality is one on board. Nobody else was affected on ground, because it was you can view from the picture around there that there are a lot of high wooded trees. So it's around areas like that that it fell into, and even a bit difficult for rescuer to pull the wreckage out, according to when I was watching the TSB Canada interview, so which is equivalent of NTSB in US. So aircraft damage completely written off, is a total write-off. So, you know, crash into the wood and things like that. So flight was on the flight training, Cornwall flight training. So both of them. So probably when the investigation goes on, we have better understanding, because personally myself, let me know in the comment, or if you are live with me, put it in live chat, like why would they have collided since they are even the same training company. I believe they should have each other's flight paths, probably height and things like that, when they know they will be having multiple students or multiple flying or training flights almost at the same time, to avoid things like this. Because if they don't, there's chances of collision like that. So, but when investigation come, avoid to just be speculating and saying no, we can't know yet. But when the TSB Canada have more findings, and may do more in-depth individual video for that specific crash. But for this video, it's more of quick check on giving you the update of those planes that crashed, looking at why they crashed based on the current update we have, because most of this investigation usually take a lot of time, months, 3 months, 6 months, 1 year or more, depending on how serious this is. So that's on the flight. The weather also was like low fog. Don't forget, this was like morning as well, so the weather might not be as clear as it could be if it happened to be during the sunny noon time, like the sun is up and sky is much clearer and a lot of things like that. So what actually happened to this Cessna 172N Skyhawk was collided with another Cornwall training flight. Remember the previous one we discussed? I may still show you flight C-GBJJ Piper PA 44180 Seminole at around 2,500 feet. So I lost one wing. So that is the problem here. This, when it crashed, this Cessna, when it crashed with this Piper, this didn't really have any instant like physical damage. Its wings were still there, but according to the TSB official report interview so far, that it seems the Cessna, once they collide, not sure the angle at which they collide, that lost one of its wing. And you know what that means? Once a plane is airborne at that feet of over like 2,000 feet above, and then suddenly lose completely one of its wing, or even if it's just bent off, it could bring the plane down. Now talk of maybe it even cut off entirely or bend off entirely. So the investigation will prove that. So, but this didn't experience that. So once that happened, the plane just lose altitude, because it can't balance, it can't fly forward and things. So just like get stalled and crash down. So eyewitness said it that the the plane just fell off straight to the ground. Like it didn't even like have much of spiny and things like that. Like it's just, because I was watching an interview video with one of the eyewitnesses was saying it's like a missile. Like when it first had the crash over its head, not too far from it just turned it like southwest of the mid town, and then when it saw like what really happened. Then the next thing, just see the plane on a straight, like a projector, just coming down straight, not really much of spanning and things like that. And then it crashed into the wooded area, which is not easily like accessible like that, with so many searches. Even saying they spent about 45 minutes trying to locate the crash, so that probably if they can rescue the pilot, probably if this had happened in a more easily accessible place, probably the pilot might still have been rescued, maybe taken to the hospital, and, or given a second chance. But when people go through life-threatening fatal injury like that, and they don't also get medical attention on time, it may end up becoming life or taking and things like that. So we don't know, because he said after almost like 45 minutes trying to comb through the bush with emergency responder, it was the one that actually also called 911. Yeah, so they couldn't locate. So it was later they said an emergency uh, technician glided to locate it in the wood, and that was when they now started working and close part of the road as you see in the map, and trying to make sure they get the driver so trying to get access to it, lock the road from other normal drivers, car drivers and things like that, so that they can have access to the crash site, the pilot and things like that. So those are the view on it, the crash. So let me know below, what do you think might have caused why the two collided, and then this was still able to land safely. The two pilots, though they were injured, at that collision there will be some like turbulence, like when things hit each other and things like that. Probably the plane will turn and they have to take control and things like that. So hopefully we'll get more info on that, but we couldn't have much yet now. So let's go on to the next crash, which is Sukhoi Superjet. So what really went wrong with the plane that caused it to crash, and all those things, we'll cover it together. So the date for this, it happened on, according to report, 15th November 2025, which type is Sukhoi Superjet 195B, and you have the registration number. This is a normal commercial flight, as you can see it in the screen. You can see, let me bring it a bit here. Yeah, so you can see it right in the screen. So I got this picture before. This was the plane before the incident happened, and from there you can now see a part of this engine turn off. Yeah, you can see it there. I think I need to take it a bit up for you so you see it now. That's a bit, and some of it are even like fall off on the ground. If you see it, like this parts open out entirely, and then you can see it here. So the registration number, you see it, and occupants were 95, which comprises of 90 passengers and 5 crews. All were evacuated safely. So that's a good news, because these are different from just those small planes. So a single crash of this, kills multiple. So you can imagine 95 people on board. That will be a massive accident. So fatality has 0 on board and then 0 on ground. So Aircraft damage also is minimal, as you can see it. Every other part of the airplane is intact except for this engine part. So the flight is Ozia Airline flight FV2461 on commercial operation. So it's a full normal commercial operating plane. So the weather was clear, as if you look at the sun, angle of the sun and the shadows, you can see that this is a well sunny day. So what now really went wrong? What really went wrong here is flap snap post takeoff from Vladivostok to, they were actually, according to the report, they were scheduled to, go from Vladivostok to Blagoveshchensky. Sorry for the pronunciation. But once that happened, it triggered emergency landing in Khabarovsk airport because they couldn't complete that journey after such something. And you can see it here again. Let me take this much higher. You can see the plane. I think let me widen it for you so that you can have a better view of it. So you see it now. So that's the whole part of the plane, and the same also here. You can see the whole part of the plane. If let me try and clean this for you, so that you can see it well. So you can see the whole part of the engine here. It's like this whole cover got broken off. So not sure yet what really it like that, because it didn't hit the floor. So probably there's something that got broken loose and probably exploded or something like that, that outward, that caused all this cover to got broken and even fell off and things like that. So you can see it. So out. So let me take back. You see the parts, and this like the full opened engine. So let's get back. So don't forget, if you are with me, kindly like, subscribe, tap notification bell. It takes huge amount of time to put all these things together. Try to verify as much as possible, and there are links below to verify these things. Need to verify the pictures and things. So we appreciate your like, and tap that share button to share the video if you find it educative, and tune in. I plan to be doing this probably daily as often as I can, but your support will keep me going. So thank you so much for that. So I think we can pull this a bit back, and if you are just joining as well, don't forget to like the video. We have also looked at two planes that crashed together, so you can take the video a bit back to watch them and the outcome of this Piper plane versus Cessna at about 2,005 feet above ground, so in Canada. So here we just discussed this from Russia. So, and we are glad that 95 people lives were safe and it didn't end in fatal issue. So the next we are going to be discussing about, be looking at and I widen this a bit more for you guys. So we'll be looking at the V9H VLT Technam. So this happened, this will be updated, as I said it, that will cover plane crashes worldwide within the last 24 hours to 48 hours. So the previous one we covered was like 48 hours, because today is 17th February 2025, so that covered like 15. So this is even more recent, which was like 24 hours ago, and This was November 16th. Yeah, November 16, 2025, around 10 a.m. local time, which was in what? Malta. So Malta. So type involved in the crash was Technom P2 on 2002 JF Sierra. So, and you can actually see it nose down here. So they are trying to tow it as you see it there. So we still know what really went wrong. So the occupants were two, which is the instructor and student. So it's actually a training flight. So there are two people on board. But in terms of injury and fatality, it's none. So that's a good news. No, when there's none life lost. Aircraft damage is minimal. Front wheel damage, so you can see it. It's loose, the front wheel there. That's why it can't be towed normally. Normally it will be the normal tow vehicle that will be with the front wheel. But even if there are some technical issue or parking or things like that. But this now, since the front wheel is even gone, so it can't be pulled, it has to be towed, and you can see how that bend out there as well. So now the flight was the flight. It's training flight, like I said, around Malta or Luca airport, and weather was clear. As you can at least from that photo, you can see that it seems clear day, not, but it's early, so you cannot really see sun like that because it was very early in the morning. So what happened? The aircraft nose wheel collapsed during landing at Mata Luka airport. So it was attempting to land, and so that's how as they land on the front wheel, they discover that it just collapsed off, causing the plane to eventually crash, but not to the point that it caused any kind of fatal injury to the occupant. So both of them were saved and fine. So let's move on to the next one I have for you, which is the R-66 helicopter crash. So what's this? The details surrounding this crash in New Zealand at the Makara beach. So what really caused the crash? This picture of helicopter of the model which is owned by the same company. So can't 100% tell you if it is this specific, because they are like an helicopter company, so they might have multiple of these. But for this, I think R-66 helicopter. So ZK, let's see if we zoom out, if we are able to see any registration number. So those are how I used to visually try to confirm. Yeah, so this is the actual plane. You can see IXT. So I think, well, hopefully that isn't so can't guarantee you that it is the actual, but this is the type, and this is also the company. So this is either it is or is types, if they have 2, 3, or 4 of it. So now what really went wrong with this flight? Let's now learn more about it that caused it to crash. So it was November 16th, 2025, around 8 a.m. local time. So it's very early in the morning. And the type of aircraft is an helicopter, as you saw it there, is R-66 turbine and turbine, I think typo error there. Then ZK, you see the number there, owned by CSN Helicopter Limited. So from that, go deduce they are like, they operate probably multiple of helicopter, might also have multiple of this model as well. So it was just one occupant at that point in time. So fatality, there was injury but not fatality reported yet. So, and in terms of the aircraft damage, it was a total written off because it crash landed around hills and things like that. So was the flight? The flight was for agricultural work around Wellington, area, and in that area is a beach area with hills and things like that, and also seems to have all these wind turbine, wind farm, yeah, things something like that. So it has like a wind farm as well around there. So it was like scheduled for. So this is another view of the same type helicopter run and operated by the same company. So you can see it. Yeah, R66 turbine. So you can see it here. So, and then let's zoom back. Hope I have not. Seems I've cut off the text. So hope you guys can see it. Yeah. So that's the helicopter. And then what then went wrong with this was what actually went wrong that caused the crash of the helicopter. Unknown. The cause is still unknown due to no distress call from the pilot. So there was no communication like that with any or distress call being sent out and things like that. And also, as of now, I couldn't see any content online from eyewitness. Sometimes you easily see, okay, this crash, like the previous one we discussed about two planes colliding, you understand, in Ontario, Canada. There are eyewitness that had the bank and then the falling of one of the planes and things like that. So they usually help with investigation, and also why we are with investigation for somebody like me that go out get current plane crashes within 24-48 hours to like 72 hours, then those could help. But when you don't have that, because it's in more of a beach mountainous area, and it was also early in the morning, so, and because of that, the RCCNZ, that's the Official Rescue Coordination Center in New Zealand, that's officially, they said it that they got a air traffic specific emergency alert at around 7:50 a.m., which is auto-triggered in crash. So, I said earlier that the pilot didn't make a distress call. So you now wonder, how did they now get a kind of emergency alert? What really happened was what the NRCCNZ official was also explained here according to the source. You can see links below. So that the pilot didn't actually communicate, but inside of that helicopter there is something called using electronic locator transmitter, so which have inertia switch. So you can see it, which is auto-triggered in crash situation using electronic locator transmitter, ELT, have inertia switch, and the G-force, it automatically activate when experience any sort of impact. So if there's any impact with G-force, gravitational force, pull it down with it on anything, then with that thing impacting, it will automatically trigger the aircraft specific distress beacon call. So that was what happened. So the pilot didn't make any call, didn't make any help, any mayday, anything for distress call for support. But immediately that hit the ground, those ELT was the initial switch, it got, was imparted, and then that made that specific call. So, and I believe that will likely carry some details like the type of aviation it involved, maybe like plane, helicopter, and things like that. Probably even the model and things. See it like an SOS pre-configured into a mobile phone. Yeah. So that's how, based on the explanation from the officials, that's how that will likely work. And if you know more about it, you can educate us more in the comment, or if you are live with us in the live chat. So that then, as it hit the ground, that now trigger and made the SOS call and send those specific, the coordinates, the things like that, where you understand that's based on that I believe it will send the aircraft type, the coordinates, the GPS coordinates, so that the search and rescue will be more precise. And when plane crashes, especially in rural area, at times it's not that the crash kills those that are involved in it. Sometimes it's because they are not reached on time, and it's not fault of the rescuer. It's just that many times in a remote environment it's so difficult to locate this crash site. So, but having something like this is a good thing, and I, hope it eventually saved the life of the pilot. At least they were able to see him on time, rescue him, and hopefully he will survive any injury. But imagine him being there for hours, for days. Some will crash they will be looking and searching for the plane, for the pilot. Can take hours, and the longer it takes, the less the chance of anyone in that crash surviving. You understand? So having something like that, I think, is a good one. So what do you see to it? Let me know below. And I think those are the crashes update I got for you guys today. And I want to thank for as many that have joined. If you have liked as well, thank you. If you have not, please do. This is the maiden edition, the fifth. So first, so let me know if it's something you also like to be seeing more of, coming to you as well. If you would like to be seeing this, let me know as well. So I will trying to bring this daily, bringing you the last 24, 48 hours, or sometimes 72 hours ago plane crash that's still fresh, and what caused them to crash. So those are the updates I'll be bringing in this plane crash today segment. So hopefully to see you again tomorrow. And if you have update on crashes, and you can always put in comment. If I spot it, I may add it up as I do my research for tomorrow. So that's just maiden test. I hope you like this, and if you do, let me know in the comment as well. Please tap that share button, watch other video. I did some series of video as well on plane crash during gender review that went wrong. You want to check the playlist out as well on the channel, and see you for more. Please remember to always do good to humanity and nature with your knowledge, to make the world and universe a better place for us all. I remain Fuske. Thanks so much for tuning in. And for those that are just joining, I'm just seeing some people just joining in. So probably if I want to do a run down of what I've just covered for you guys, because I'm already rounding up, but you can as well go back to watch the video. So we've look at 24 hours to like 48 hours of plane that crashed, and I plan to be doing this daily. Please tap that like and put in comment, like chat if you like it. So we've seen the crash of the ultra light plane. You can see a complete write off, and uh, yet the pilot survived. And then we see from here as well uh, that not really minor. And yeah, we saw this collision in Canada, so you can watch it for more details and what actually went on eventually. So we also discussed about this, that you can see the part fall removed and part of the engine with 90 people, 90 passenger and 5 crew, 95 on board, but glad it didn't end in horrific news. So also this that lost his front wheel while landing, but good they escaped. And then this crash that got rescued with ALT. So those are the 7 I covered, and hope you like it. Let me know, share. Thank you for tuning in. I really appreciate you guys, and see you in the next video. Tune in tomorrow. Bye for now.